They have to be an adult before they're ready. They're overwhelmed, and they could be depressed or anxious. So the ways a child may behave, they might try hard not to upset the parent who drinks too much, try to stay out of the parent's way, may not speak up or ask what they need, keep their feelings to themselves, keep their parents' problems a secret. They'll hide what their life is like at home. Avoid having friends over because you never know how the parents are going to act. They're going to miss school or trouble keeping up with school, take on adult tasks, argue and fight with the parent, harm themselves, or act like they don't care, even if they're hurting. And then lastly, a child may deal with the following things. A parent has trouble keeping a job or paying the bills. There may not be enough food or money. Older siblings have to take care of the younger ones. Parents are mistreating, abusing, or neglecting their children. The parent may drive drunk or high. They may get into trouble, get hurt, or hurt others. Kids have to live somewhere else to be protected or cared for. Parents split up or divorce. Relatives or friends step in. Parents get help and recover. And what's funny is on all of these three slides, I think my upbringing probably relates to about 95% of these bullet points. So very much so, the data is there. It's a pretty consistent thing on what happens when to the psyche of a child when they're affected by a parent of alcoholism. So obviously this is a terrible thing. It's an epidemic. People have been struggling with this for generations, and it has affected children. And then it seems to start the cycle over. So what can be done about this? Well, a lot of people have heard of Alcoholics Anonymous, but there's also programs called Al-Anon, and then there's also Alateen for teenagers, which is just like Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's actually for the ones affected by alcoholics. And so this is basically a program where you go in, it's anonymous, and so you only state your first name. The kids have their own section, the parents have their own section, and it's just a really good way for the ones affected by the alcoholic to discuss and talk about how they're feeling, to talk about to be able to relate to other people who are in the issue, because obviously we heard before that they feel different, ostracized, discriminated against, and so you're able to be around others who have experienced the same thing. And then also practical ways to live or deal with an alcoholic, and also mindsets on how to show you that it's not your fault. There's nothing that you're able to do physically about the situation. The alcoholic has to be the one to give it up to their higher power, that they're actually powerless to it, and they need to give it up to their higher power in order to receive any type of treatment, to show that they're ultimately powerless over the effects of alcohol. So that's a very helpful resource. Obviously, talking to someone about it, get outside help. This may be a really difficult thing for family dynamics where the alcoholic is a domineering, authoritative person who kind of tells everybody how to behave in the family. And one of those things might be, hey, we don't talk about this issue. We're keeping everything in-house. But the situation is only going to escalate over time. It's like chemicals, that atoms that are stuck in a small bottle. Over time, something's bound to happen. And so I really urge anybody who's dealing with this to talk to somebody to get help about it. Obviously, recovery centers for the alcoholic is a very, very important thing. And this really only works if the alcoholic is willing to go in and admits they have a problem. If they don't, it won't work. And so this is kind of a step-by-step. If they do admit it, at that point, it's super effective and it is helpful. And then lastly, it's not a fun one, but it does happen. And it is necessary sometimes, removing the affected individuals from the alcoholic. And this would mean if the alcoholic is not willing to change their lifestyle, and they are creating damage in the household from all of the things that you saw in those previous examples, either the alcoholic needs to leave or the family needs to go somewhere else in order for things to stabilize a little bit. So looking at the future trends of alcoholism, I thought this was pretty interesting because it's hard to determine necessarily who's going to become an alcoholic and what that rate is looking like. But you can look at the trends of alcohol consumption over the years around the world. And And obviously, the more alcohol that is consumed, there's going to be people who are more drawn to that, which is going to create more addictions and more families that are affected. So while patterns of alcohol consumptions have not changed much in high-income countries, low and middle-income regions are seeing a staggering increase. So researchers looked at the alcohol consumption from 1990 to 2017 in 189 countries. Check this out, guys. This is pretty interesting. At the global level, the team found that the total volume of alcohol consumed per year increased as much as 70% from 1990 to 2017, from about 21 million liters per year to 36 million liters per year. That's literally a huge spike in alcohol consumption around the world. And so what are the implications of this? Well, I would say that alcohol has become readily available and marketed towards middle to lower class individuals over the last 30 years. So in the past, alcohol was more of a luxury. And so that's why it makes sense why it was more expensive, and the people who used it were had more money. And so those people haven't been affected over the last 30 years as much, but now it's being marketed towards middle to lower class individuals around the world, around the country, in different parts of the globe. And it's cheaper, it's more readily available, and they're making more of it, and they're consuming it, right? And so more individuals are consuming, and so there's a higher chance of individuals dealing with substance abuse issues. And when you have more individuals, that's going to lead to more alcoholic, parent or kids who have alcoholic parents, and the cycle continues and continues and continues, right? So this is definitely something to consider when it comes to alcohol consumption. And yeah, it's definitely an issue. It's an epidemic in our country right now. But my hope is that if you are seeing the signs for yourself or for anybody in your family, that you would look at the possible options to get you guys help, because help is out there. And it's not the end of the world. It's just something that you have to deal with, And so I hope that you guys found this presentation helpful, and I would love to hear what you guys think about it. So here are my references for all you people who love looking at references, and I hope you enjoyed. Catch you later.